In this video, let's talk about various provinces and PR pathways that are your hope for your 2025 international student journey, or at least to those who are aspiring to move to Canada via study permit. You have to watch this video. Hello everyone, this is Rice and this is Quest Canada. And no, it is not British Columbia. Definitely not Ontario. Ontario is absolutely far from the reality of PR pathway. Alberta can be a little bit an option, but in generality or in general, Alberta can be a tough choice as well. The rural renewal stream is an option, but that's about it. In Alberta, that's pretty much the option that you have. PEI or the Prince Edward Island can be a tough province as well because the province have implemented a pause on invitations. Newfoundland and Labrador could have been a good option, but the problem with Newfoundland is there's not enough jobs. The competition for job is tough, and therefore Newfoundland province that should take a back seat, and so therefore we are only left with just a few of them, and these provinces are Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Let's start with the Atlantic, and when I say the Atlantic, the two provinces that I have mentioned, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, the bulk of AIP projections or AIP invitations really come from these two provinces, and Nova Scotia is definitely at the top and New Brunswick coming in second. For the rest of 2024, the AIP or the Atlantic Immigration Program is closed. They have paused their invitation because they have reached the target, but they will reopen in 2025 with good news, higher target, 14,500. Now, hold on a second. I know some of you will say it's only 14,500, and yes, I agree, but you also have to remember AIP is not the only immigration pathway that are open in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and these different pathways within these two provinces are really lenient. If you compare it to Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, it's really not comparable. So we can start with the AIP. Again, AIP will reopen next year. The best time for you to prepare and hunt for a job is now, because from today until the time they open, you have got that leeway, you have got that runway to search, apply, and go to interviews and hopefully land a job. And the moment AIP opens, you are ready with your application. By the way, guys, if you are looking and searching for a job under Atlantic Immigration Program or any other PR pathways within Canada, please visit questjobs.online. At questjobs.online, we have categorized various job postings in accordance to their most possible PR pathway. For example, there are PR pathways in Nova Scotia. There's the Nova Scotia Critical Construction Program. The Critical Construction Program is a pilot program by the province of Nova Scotia. There are designated jobs there that had been itemized by the Nova Scotia government, and you will find these itemized titles or job titles in their website. We have taken all those itemized job titles, we have compared these job titles into different job postings. Aside from job titles, there are also restrictions on the kinds of companies that can hire under the Critical Construction Pilot Program, and those are different kind of research, different kind of filtering that we have to implement in order to truly decipher if a certain job is truly and really truthfully eligible for the Critical Construction Program by Nova Scotia. And this is just one pathway. There is also the New Brunswick Skilled Worker Program. The Skilled Worker Program by the New Brunswick government has got various restrictions to the employees and to the employers. We have to research and truly understand those various restrictions, interpret all those restrictions, find the job postings that could potentially be eligible under those restrictions, and then put them in the questjobs.online portal. These are just two examples. There are various pathways such as the Saskatchewan, the different pathways under Saskatchewan. There are also pathways under the Manitoba Nominee program. So guys, all these jobs had been assessed, they have been read, they had been researched. We have tagged them in accordance to eligibility, whether an international applicant is eligible to apply or not eligible to apply, whether the certain program is only suitable to international students, whether the international student should have studied and completed a certain amount of time in a certain province. All of this are all tagged, provided information, and categorized at questions.online portal. We are trying to make your lives as easy as possible when it comes to research, application, and job hunt, and definitely we certainly hope that we can help you land that dream job in Canada. Now guys, going back to the various PR pathways in the Atlantic, let's move forward with New Brunswick, where I'm from. So there's the New Brunswick Skilled Worker Program. Again guys, this is closed for this year because the target has been reached. Now, they will reopen in 2025 with a fresh new set of invites. It's going to be the same strategy for you. This time is the best time for you to search and apply and go on interviews. And from today until the end of the year is your runway to really hunt for that job, so that when 2025 opens, you are fresh, first in the line to apply for the PR invitation. Now, the NB Skilled Worker Program is a special one because there is no tier restriction. If you are an international applicant, you can be eligible to apply under the NB Skilled Worker as well, which is very interesting. And talk about the Atlantic provinces, definitely one of the provinces you should look at is Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia has got many different and a variety of PR pathways, but there are 3 specific pathways that are very interesting, especially to international applicants. And these PR pathways are the Nova Scotia Skilled Worker Program, the Nova Scotia Critical Construction Pilot Program, and the Nova Scotia Occupations in Demand Program. All of these programs, or all of these pathways, are employer driven, meaning you should have a job offer before you can apply for those PR pathways. But hear me out guys, you do not have to be in Nova Scotia or in Canada in order for you to apply or be eligible for any of those 3 PR pathways. As a matter of fact, you just need to have a job offer. Now, some of you will say, yeah, I am outside of Canada. Easy for you to say. I'm not there, so it's very hard for me to land a job. Yada, 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 yeah. You can have many excuses. You can cite that you are not in Canada. That's why it's going to be hard for you not to land a job. If that is your case, then be in Canada. You have to study here. And then some of you will say, yeah, well, studying in Canada is expensive. There's just no other way to reason out. If you really are interested to move to Canada, no matter what you do, it will be hard. It will cost you money. It will cost you time, it will cost you resources, it will cost you effort, no matter what. So if you are truly decided to move to Canada, you have to take that step. You have to make that decision, either being a student or being an international applicant. Both of those are doable. But if you are inside Canada under open work permit or under PGWP, you are at a better position because again, you are already inside Canada. And therefore, to everyone watching under work permit, guys, you have to look at Nova Scotia even if you are not living currently in Nova Scotia. The Nova Scotia Expedited Pathway. This pathway is more geared towards RNs or registered nurses that are licensed under 7 countries. These 7 countries are the Philippines, India, Nigeria, Australia, US, UK, and New Zealand. So if you are registered in any of these countries as a professional nurse and you are able to practice in those countries, then you can apply under the expedited pathway in Nova Scotia. What exactly is the expedited pathway? It's essentially a pathway wherein the province of Nova Scotia makes it easy, a whole lot easier for professionals who have studied and holds licensure in different countries and be able to practice in Nova Scotia. Now, some of you will ask, well, what about me? I'm not licensed in any of those countries. Well, there is the non-expedited pathway, which is just pretty much is the same process, only there are additional processes that you have to go into in order for you to be eligible to apply for jobs in Nova Scotia. Now, the moment that you receive the temporary licensing in Nova Scotia, you are then able to apply for any RN job in Nova Scotia, the healthcare facility or any company in Nova Scotia will consider you more of a serious candidate if you hold this license, because the moment that you then apply for a peer pathway and gets approved, then you will land in Nova Scotia. You will just land and ready to run. You essentially go to your job the next day. There are no restrictions for you because you are licensed already. Guys, this is a licensing pathway. This is not the PR pathway. I'd like to be very clear on that. So the moment you are licensed already, that gives you the right or the ease of ability to apply for RN jobs in Nova Scotia. The moment you receive a job offer, then you can apply for your PR in any or in some of the Nova Scotia pathways. For example, the Nova Scotia Skilled Worker Program that I had just mentioned. You do not have to live in Nova Scotia or in Canada to be eligible in this PR pathway. You can be an international applicant, and therefore the job offer is the main category or the foundation of your application, and the rest will certainly be your IELTS, your WES, and everything else. And that allows you to be a permanent resident the moment you land in Canada. So that's the expedited pathway. There are obviously so much more happening in the background. If you would like to know more of the details and the nits and bits of this application, guys, I urge you to visit the Nova Scotia Expedited Pathway website. I have covered Saskatchewan many times over in the past and have published various videos about Saskatchewan, and still up to this point, guys, I still believe that Saskatchewan should be one of the provinces at the top when it comes to you hoping to land a job, hoping to study, or hoping to have a work permit in Canada. There are three main PR pathways that I'd certainly recommend to anyone if a person is an international applicant, a work permit holder, or a PGWP holder. And these three PR pathways are the Saskatchewan International Skilled Worker, the Health Pathway, and the Tech Pathway. All of these three PR pathways are employer driven, meaning you have to have a job offer before you can be eligible to apply to any of these three PR pathways. And really, guys, 95% of the PR pathways or nominee programs in Canada are all driven by employers, meaning it's all job offer driven. Job offer is the key. Job offer is the real deal. But the good thing about these various three PR pathways is that even if you are an international applicant and outside Canada, you can be eligible as long as you have a job offer. Now, the two pathways, Saskatchewan the Skilled Worker Program and the Tech Pathway, those two programs require that you score 60 out of 110 points. But the Health Talent Pathway does not require any scoring as long as your position or your job offer falls under the 44 designated job titles, as you can see in your screens right now. Guys, if you would like to know more about the Saskatchewan or the various PR pathways in Saskatchewan, I urge you to please watch this video. I do have a good news though to everyone who have a family in Saskatchewan, because if you do have a family in Saskatchewan, then they become your connection in the province. And once you have a connection in the province, scoring 60 out of 110 is really a piece of cake already. So if you have an aunt, you have a cousin, you have a relative that could potentially sponsor you, take a hold of them and pray that they are able and eligible to sponsor you to apply for the nominee program in Saskatchewan. The last in our list, but definitely not the least, is Manitoba. I have covered Manitoba as well in quite a bit, but this time I would like to go into more details. Manitoba has got the international graduate stream, the career employment pathway, wherein if you studied in Manitoba and finish at least 1 year of program in Manitoba, then it doesn't matter what field of study you were able to finish, what kind of job you have in your offer, you are eligible in this program. Now, I'd like to back up here, because with the IRCC field of study program, then you have to first consider and choose your program as listed in the 980 PGWP eligible programs, and then take that program that you decide on from the 980 and then consider studying in Manitoba, because Manitoba really, to be honest, is quite lenient when it comes to international students that finish and complete programs in the province. Manitoba also have the skilled worker in Manitoba pathway, wherein they do not have any tier restriction, meaning your job offer or the job title that you're offered with can be in tier 0, 1, 2, 3, or 5. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a job offer and you have worked in that job for at least 6 months, and then you can already apply for your PR in the province. That's how lenient that PR pathway is. This is not comparable to any PR pathway in Ontario, in BC, and in Alberta. And the last PR pathway in Manitoba that I believe that you should look at is the skilled worker overseas. What's absolutely interesting with this pathway is that even your family and your friends, imagine this, your friend can sponsor you to apply for PR in Canada. And that's how amazing Manitoba is when it comes to such kind of PR. Now, there are certain eligibility, of course, to the sponsor who already should be living in Manitoba. And some of these eligibilities are: the person should be a PR or a Canadian citizen. The person should be able to provide a settlement plan. The person should ideally have a job. That's what the settlement plan is for. And the person is not sponsoring any other applicant. And those are really doable. If you have a family, if you have a friend in Manitoba, this PR pathway is something that you should look at. Now, guys, I will tackle more of this friend sponsorship or family sponsorship in Manitoba in my future videos. I certainly urge you to watch out for that.